Okay, I want to welcome everybody today. So excited to see you. I'm Darleen Dozier, and I joined ASEA just about 3 months ago, just shy of 3 months. And I was introduced to ASEA by Gloria. I had some situations with one of my pets, not the one I'm going to talk about today, but a different one. And I reached out to her, and it's been full steam ahead ever since. I'm very thankful for having found, or maybe the product found me. Maybe that's a better way to put it. And so the last 3 months have been amazing. The things that I have seen change, not in my pets, but also my whole family, who is also taking ASEA Redox and using the Renew 28 from the athletic people in my family to people that had some health situations, dementia, body aches and pains, and so forth. So today I'm going to talk about one of my four-legged friends. His name is T-Bow. And he's 14 years old, or as we know in human years, he's 98. So he's somewhat of an old man. And I'll give you a little backstory on T-Bow. Gloria, if you just, oh, that's right. It's a slide, isn't it? You don't have to start the slide yet, but there he is. That's T-Bow in all his glory. Beautiful animal. Had a little degeneration in his back and hips, making it very difficult for him to be able to get up anymore. Lots of problems. We had tried all sorts of other homeopathic remedies, and those just kind of quit. His body just wasn't using those anymore. So as soon as I got the ASEA Redox for one of my other animals, I immediately started it on him as well. So the video you're about to watch is going to take you through 1 month. And I'll go ahead and talk through that video if Gloria wants to start that. So here's T-Bow when he was young and full of life. Next slide, you are going to see him trying to walk, and he's having a lot of difficulties. He's really broken down in the backside. It was disheartening. You hate to see your animals go through this and just having a real difficult time. And here we are a week out, and so we're actually picking up those feet now and planting them, which was so encouraging after just a week. And here we are 2 weeks. And he's trying to trot a little bit. So that was super exciting. Really trying to use his full gait there. And as we get towards the end here, the last one I did was about at the 4-week mark. And he's playing with our other dog, Moose. So one of the things that ASEA Redox provided for him, and I gave him about probably 2 ounces is what he was getting at this time. I've since then upped it a little bit because some other problems have surfaced as well. He's having a little bladder retention problem. So we upped his intake a little bit more. He's still walking fine and everything, but we're addressing some other health issues. But I was able to actually use the pouch that ASEA offers, the sport pouch. And that has been the easiest way for me to give him his. I just give him a little bit of a time and he swallows it. I know some people have put it in the bowl and let them have that at will. I wanted to make sure he got it because he needed it. His health was in need of it, and I didn't want to just rely on that. So that's what we do for T-Bow. And do you have any questions?
So how is he doing now? What have you noticed? Has it been another month? Has it been like 2 months now?
He was after Gloria. So he's probably, yeah, he might be approaching 2 months.
Okay.
From the time we started. What I failed to tell you was one of the first signs I saw was the decreased pain in his expression, his facial manners. You can tell. I've been around animals all my life, and I've raised, trained, and bred animals, and you can see the pain in their mannerisms, in their face. You know when they're in pain, and that did disappear. So we are still. He allows me to brush and comb him, which was very difficult prior to this because he was so sore. So I'm able to do those things. As I said, he's developed, he's not able to hold his bladder right now. So we are addressing that. His gait is still good. His pain has not returned. So I feel really good where he's at. He is old, and I realize that, but just to see him bounce back in the last couple months has been so rewarding.
Yeah, his quality of life is restored.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Any more questions?
No? Okay.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I am going to pass this over to Ruth now, and thank you very much, everyone.
So, hi.
What did I do with my video? Hold on a second.
Wait.
Hold on, I'm sorry about this. I've got to find what I'm doing. I went to click on it and it disappeared, so I need to bring it back. Not sure what happened. Here we are. 1 second, I hadn't minimized it. Technical difficulties. So we'll try that again. And here we are.
Okay. So hi, my name is Ruth Crea, and I would like to introduce a simple and fun explanation of what redox signaling molecules are, what they do in any body with cells, including plants and animals, and how our bodies start producing less of these critical signaling molecules when we hit puberty. It also explains how Renew 28 actually is the exact same redox signaling molecules that exist inside of us and are thus really a replenishment. Can you start the video?
The human body is an extraordinary creation, made up of between 50 and 100 trillion cells, each one performing just the right function in just the right place at just the right time. Your cells themselves are amazing. Each one is a bustling metropolis of activity, a city that never sleeps. Every second of every day, your cells work tirelessly to keep your body healthy and strong. One of the major functions of your cells is the production of fuel. This fuel, known as ATP, is actually created by workers inside the cell called mitochondria. Mitochondria are so vital and important that a single cell can have thousands of these little workers. In fact, it is estimated that half of the dry weight of the human body is made up of mitochondria. Mitochondria do more than supply the body with the fuel it needs. They also play a key role in cell signaling and communication, coordinating the actions and activities of your cells. When you think about it, this kind of signaling is essential for health and life, since it is the foundation for things like cell development, tissue repair, and immune functions. Without the ability to communicate and coordinate the activities of cells, we would fall apart pretty quickly. The mitochondria's role in this vital communication system lies in the fact that they make special molecules, called redox signaling molecules. The mitochondria make these molecules by the trillions, every second of every day. Good thing, too, because without these redox signaling molecules, life itself would be impossible. You need these molecules to protect the health of your cells, to detect threats and damage, and to repair or replace injured cells. Unfortunately, as we get older, our ability to make redox signaling molecules diminishes. Ever notice that bumps and bruises that disappear in no time on a child seem to last forever on someone who is elderly? The cells in that older person simply aren't communicating as efficiently as they did when they were younger, and so cells and tissues take longer to repair themselves. And all because the body isn't making as many redox signaling molecules as it used to. But what if there were a way to replenish your supply of these amazing little molecules? What if there were, in essence, a redox signaling supplement? How would your life change if you had a supply of redox signaling molecules like you did when you were younger? Such a product would be incredible, but how would you go about making it? Well, a good start would be to understand how the mitochondria in your trillions of cells make these vitally important molecules. Your cells are little bags of salt water. The mitochondria and other organelles inside the cell float around in this salt water. It's not surprising, then, that when the mitochondria need building blocks for creating redox signaling molecules, they use something they have plenty of: salt water. It works out pretty great because salt water is made up of just 4 atoms: the sodium and chloride atoms in salt and the hydrogen and oxygen atoms in water. The mitochondria pull apart these saltwater molecules, then recombine the atoms in different configurations. The new combinations are, guess what? Redox signaling molecules. Things happen so fast inside the cells that these redox signaling molecules are manufactured in just fractions of seconds. And they get used quickly too. And if the cells don't need the redox signaling molecules right away, the atoms convert back into salt water, ready to be used again and again by the mitochondria. It's a very efficient system. So to make a redox signaling supplement outside of living cells, it makes sense to start with the same building blocks: salt and water. That's just what a company called Asea does. We begin with a pure, pristine saline solution. Then, using a highly protected and patented electrochemical process, we break apart the bonds that hold the sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms together. These free-floating atoms are then recombined in new configurations, and voila! Redox signaling molecules. Of course, the process sounds a lot easier than it really is. Your mitochondria make redox signaling molecules in fractions of seconds. Asea takes 3 full days to make the same molecules. But the real triumph for Asea came in overcoming the issue of stability. Remember that redox signaling molecules made in the cell get used right away or else turn back into salt water? That's because redox signaling molecules are very reactive. They want to get busy and start working right now. This reactive nature makes it difficult to keep these molecules around for long. They want to get used or they'll revert back into salt water. Fortunately, after countless hours of research and experimentation, the scientists at Asea reached a breakthrough. They discovered a process for pairing these highly reactive molecules into balanced sets, stabilizing redox signaling molecules outside of living cells. This really is something extraordinary. Molecules that last just microseconds inside the cell have a shelf life of over a year in a bottle of Asea. Amazing! So what does Asea, the world's first redox signaling supplement, mean for you? Simply put, it's an entirely new approach to health. Every other health and wellness product, vitamins, exotic juices, everything, tries to help the body by giving it something foreign, something the body has to try to figure out how to use. Not so with Asea. The molecules in Asea are native to the body. See, your body already knows how to take care of itself. Your cells actually make the tools they need, and for the first time in history, you can replenish and reinforce those tools. You can, in fact, give your body more of the native molecules it needs to take care of its own health. Asea is more than a mere supplement. It is a foundational approach to health and wellness, a fundamental shift in how we take care of ourselves. So are you wondering just what Asea can do for you? There's one powerful way to find out. Talk to the person who shared this message with you. Get your hands on a case of Asea and feel for yourself the effects of the world's first and only redox signaling supplement. Your life, and your approach to your own health will never be the same.
Now I'd like to get to introduce you to somebody. It's my privilege to introduce you to Dr. Dick Walker. He has over 35 years of experience in internal medicine and a degree in preventive medicine and nutrition. He's a skier and mountain climber, and he's even climbed Mount Everest. But because of ASEA, he now has the time to enjoy his family and especially his grandchildren. He's worked with ASEA for over 9 years. He sits on the ASEA's medical professional board, and he has experienced and witnessed lives changed because of Redox Technology and ASEA. So it's my privilege to introduce you and welcome Dr. Walker.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good.
So do we have any new folks on here who are brand new to ASEA, or?
We have some that we'll be watching later, but we do have a couple of new associates here with us today.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm not sure how much you want me to cover. Certainly I can answer questions, but yeah, I've been affiliated with ASEA for now almost 9 years. And we're getting ready to do a big science conference the day before the ASEA convention down in Las Vegas on Wednesday. So I'll be one of the featured speakers there. But yeah, the science behind this is really incredible. When I first got involved, there really wasn't much known about redox signaling. It was kind of a new development in the biological sciences and biochemistry. I'm not sure why it hadn't been figured out earlier, because these molecules have, we've known about them forever, but we just didn't know the importance of the roles that they served in the human body. And as it turns out, our bodies simply couldn't function without redox molecules. I start my presentation now by saying, there's 3 really important things we know that the body needs. One of them is water. One of them is oxygen and food, of course, water and food and oxygen. And we can get along for weeks without food, days without water, minutes without oxygen. And most people don't realize that redox signaling molecules, we can only get by for maybe a few more minutes without them than they can oxygen. They're that important. They're absolutely essential for everything that our body does at the cellular level. And we tend to focus in on a couple of very important things that they do when we're explaining the functions of these molecules to new folks. And one of the most important things that they do is to organize and orchestrate all of the biochemistry that runs your cells. And they are also very, very important in powering what I call your inner doctor, the entity within you that knows how to fix and repair almost anything that goes awry. And as long as we keep that inner doctor supplied with the tools that it needs, and redox signaling molecules is probably the most important power tool that it needs, then our body can fix and repair many, many things, many more things than I can fix and repair as a physician. And I've come to realize that, when I'm talking to somebody who is sick, has problems, that one of the first things that is necessary to do to get them on the path of recovery is to make sure that they're in redox balance, or what we call redox homeostasis, meaning that they have enough of these molecules to balance out some of the toxic metabolites that accumulate in our cells just as a process of living. And because if we start to try to fix things before we make sure that that's in balance, oftentimes we just can't accomplish anything. We'll write multiple prescriptions and surgeries and all kinds of things, and people aren't getting better, when really the problem wasn't that they needed a drug. The problem was that they needed to balance out their redox signaling. And once we supply that, once we replenish their body and their cells with these redox molecules, then all of a sudden things start to happen and going in the right direction. And I would say that there are vastly more people out there who are suffering the symptoms of illness because of a lack of redox balance than there are for any other reason that exists. And, you know, we oftentimes see people that come into the clinic that have a variety of symptoms. And in Western medicine, we spend an ungodly amount of time and money trying to determine just what the problem is. So we spend all kinds of money and time on diagnostic procedures to try to figure out where is the problem, what's going on. And oftentimes we aren't really able to, we're not always able to pin that down. But what we know without doing a single test is that if somebody has the symptoms of an illness, what it means is that somewhere in their body, there are cells that are either doing something that they're not supposed to, or cells that aren't doing what they are supposed to do to keep us healthy. And we don't necessarily even need to find where all those cells are. We don't need to make that kind of a diagnosis in order to recommend ASEA Redox, because we know that once these molecules enter your body, they'll find their way to the cells that need them. They disperse throughout the body quite readily. And if a cell is deficient, and if that's the reason why it's not doing what it's supposed to do, or if that's the reason why it's not behaving itself and doing something it shouldn't do, then these molecules will find their way there, and our cells can use them to fix and repair that problem, or eliminate that cell if it can't be fixed. And that's really the function of our inner doctor, and these redox molecules are the most important tool that it has. And the other thing that they do that's very, very important, and a lot of people talk about detoxifying, and what detoxifying means in scientific terms, that's called autophagy or autophagy. And it's the process that our cells go through to eliminate waste products and garbage and things that can accumulate in our cells that are unhealthy. And it's a very essential function. It's kind of the garbage man function. You can imagine how your house would look if you didn't take the garbage out every day, or once a week anyway, and take it out to the curb and get rid of it. And our cells are the same way. They need to get rid of things, because if they don't, they start to interrupt that function of the functionality of the cell, and they start to make that cell sick. And then that cell starts to actually secrete things into the environment that harm other cells and that cause inflammation. And the term that we use scientifically for inflammation is oxidative stress. And these molecules are very good at helping the body to take the garbage out, to get rid of that stuff, and to help your kidneys and your liver to eliminate it from the body for good. But if you can't get it out of the cell and it accumulates, that causes all kinds of problems as well. And so when you look at the overall effects of these molecules, you know, number one, they are very good at detecting when a cell is in trouble. But let's back up a step. They're very good at taking out the garbage and eliminating problems. They're also very good at protecting the cells from that oxidative stress, that inflammation. And they do that by helping the cell to increase its antioxidant production, way better than eating lots of blueberries and antioxidant supplements. And then if those systems fail, if despite cleaning the cells out and protecting it against oxidative stress, if those systems fail and the cell gets sick anyway, then they're very good at orchestrating the repair mechanisms through genetic expression, through stimulating the genes to put the information out into the cell that's necessary, through what we call transcription factors, to activate the genes that are necessary to do the repair. And then if the repair can't be, it just isn't working, if the cell is beyond repair, then it basically sends a signal to the cell to disintegrate. The body recycles all those ingredients into new cells and starts over again with a healthy new cell and on and on. And that's a repetitive process throughout life. And so these molecules are just very foundational to our health. And being able to replenish them like we do with the ASEA is really a godsend, because prior to the development, prior to knowing this, and prior to the development of this supplement, there wasn't anything we could do about being out of homeostasis with regards to redox. And the other thing that's we're realizing in the last few years or so, as the research on redox signaling and cellular communication has progressed, we're realizing that many of the things that we know are good for us, like sleep, like exercise, like certain natural modalities, massage, acupuncture, those kinds of things, they all actually, the way those things benefit our body is that they feed through this redox system and improve our redox balance and our redox health. That's why they're good for us. And that's a common factor for many of the things that we know and have known for years are good for us. And now we know why, at least we know a big part of why they're beneficial for us. We know that fasting is beneficial for us. We now know that fasting actually improves our redox environment. And so there's all kinds of things that historically we've found to be healthy. And now we know that by and large, those things work through this establishment of redox balance, redox homeostasis. So this stuff is really, really important. It's without a doubt the most foundational information that we have with regards to how to stay healthy and how to regain our health if we lost it. So any questions specifically about how much, that sort of thing?
Yeah, if you could speak to, you said that talking about the detox, when the body goes into that process, how do you recommend that people support their body to be able to release the toxins?
Yeah, well, the body is constantly doing that. It's not something that we go into and out of. I mean, the cells are more or less constantly ridding themselves of cellular waste. Probably the most important thing to understand when you're doing that is that you need to drink plenty of fluids. You need to be able to flush that through. Once it's out of the cells, it needs to make its way to the liver and the kidneys for the final elimination from the body. And if you're dehydrated, you're going to impede that process. And one of the things that we see for some people when they start redox replenishment with ASEA, because it improves that detoxing autophagy process, the body will start to eliminate toxins that it's been hanging on to for a long time, and that can make you feel kind of lousy. And the way to get through that is just to drink extra fluid, stay on the redox to continue the process. Don't stop, because your body does need to get rid of that stuff. But be sure that you're drinking plenty of fluid so that you can flush that out of your system, and you'll feel a lot better. But understand that for some people, the first couple of days and maybe the first week or so, for some people, that they may not feel better on redox, but that's part of the process that the body's going through. And on the other side of that, they will definitely feel better. And then as they continue with the redox supplement, they'll get into a balanced system where their cells are eliminating those wastes on an ongoing basis, like they should be doing. And you're not going to have to go through a periodic detox, which is the nice thing about ASEA. It's not like you got to detox once a week or once a month or whatever. It's an ongoing process, the way it's supposed to function.
And what are the dosages that are recommended for people when they're starting redox?
You know, I dose on two factors. Number one is age. And we know that once we reach somewhere between 40 and 50 or so, some people would need it earlier. Some people may get by and not need as much until later. But if you're in the younger age group, 4 ounces may be enough for you. And it says on the bottle to start at 4 ounces a day. But if you're in the younger category and you already have acquired some health challenges, then 4 ounces may not be enough. And if you're over 50, you're probably going to do much better with 8 ounces than with 4, because our body loses the ability to make these molecules the older we get. And by the time we're 50, we're at about 50% of what we had when we were at our healthiest in our teenage years. I started this when I was 64, and I've never taken less than 8 ounces a day. And I take close to 12 ounces a day now, and I'm 73, almost 74. So age is an important factor. And the sicker you are, the more you need. The other concept that's important to understand is that you invariably need more in the very beginning than you may need as a maintenance later on, to stimulate these restorative processes that have been languishing because you didn't have enough of these molecules. And so I tell people in that first 2 to 3 months, they may need to serially increase their dose to get the effect that they're looking for. But then after it really kicks in, they can usually titrate it back to closer to that 8 ounces or 4 ounces if they're younger. But you can really titrate the effects that you're looking for, the dose to the effects that you're looking for. But the older you are, the sicker you are, the more you need. And then the other concept to understand is that these molecules, even though they've been stabilized to a large extent in the ASEA, they still only last in your body for up to 3 hours or so after you drink them. And so it's important to take them throughout the day, at least twice a day. But if you're on the higher dosages, it's nice to take it 3 to 4 times a day. And what I do is take my first dose first thing in the morning. I usually take one around midday. I take one around later in the afternoon, and then I always take one at night. In fact, I usually have a couple of ounces in a glass at my bedside, because then if I wake up at night, I take another couple of ounces, because we know that the body does a lot of its restorative work at night when we're sleeping. So you want to at least take some at bedtime. And if you tend to wake up at night to go to the bathroom once a night, then it's nice to have a little bit, or have a pouch or a bottle by your bedside so you can take a couple of swallows before you go back to sleep, so that you have those extra molecules during that repair phase that you're going through when you're sleeping. So,
have you heard of people having a hard time sleeping if they drink the Redox?
I think that's a misnomer. And I think that generally, after people go through that initial phase of getting used to having more Redox on board, I don't think there's too many people that can't tolerate an evening dose, but they might experiment. Maybe that's not as big as the morning dose that they take, and they can experiment with that in the time that they go to bed, and just play with it, but understand that it is important to have these molecules in your body at night when you're sleeping, because that is when your body does most of its repair work. Your body's too busy keeping you awake and getting things done during the daytime. It's at night when you're resting that a lot of this repair process takes place. I will recommend that you read Lee Osler's second book. He talks a lot about lifestyle and diet and all of these other effects that do have an impact on Redox, in addition to our Redox drink. So, yeah. And I'll make a brief statement about the new products that are coming out in April. The ASEA is coming out with some products. They're more in the line of nutritional and herbal products. They do not have Redox signaling molecules in them, but they do impact our cells' ability to maintain Redox balance. So those are going to be very important. There's one called Redox Energy. I've tried it. It definitely energizes you in a way different from coffee or anything like that. They have one called Mind, which is really a mental alertness, different than energy. They go well together. You can take them together. You mix them in water. And then they have one called Mood, which is really to kind of calm you down and stabilize things. So the other thing that I'm just thinking of right now is maybe those people that seem to get energized by ASEA Redox in the evening might do well to take their ASEA Redox in the evening and then take one of the Redox Mood things to kind of mellow things out, and maybe they'll sleep better with that combination, and also be making their their redox environment very healthy.
And I see, Ruth, do you have a question? You might have to unmute.
I do. So you were talking about dosage of the redox, and I have some friends and some family members who have skin issues, like the kind that gets like kids have it when they're in teenagers, and also some itchy, scaly skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a dosage for that, would it be using the Renew 28 more than twice a day and drinking it, or would the Renew 28 be enough for, because it's you're dealing with the skin?
The Renew 28 alone is going to help a great deal. But what I found is that most people get the best results with Renew 28 when they're also drinking it, because they just get a better saturation of molecules, I think, in the deeper layers of the skin. But I've seen really good results just with the Renew. And I started to realize that when we opened up in Australia, and for the first over a year or so, we only had government approval for the Renew and not for the drink. And we saw people with having amazing responses if they used enough of the Renew. Understand, if you're just going to use Renew, you probably need to use it more often than if you're using Renew and drinking the molecules. But I think for that problem that teenagers have, that, you know, at least a couple of times a day, and probably the first, putting it on in the morning first thing, and then at night before they go to bed is important. And it wouldn't hurt for them to do another application sometime during the day. You'll find that that has kind of a drying effect, and so a moisturizer can be important, especially if they have dry skin. Some people tend to have a more oily skin, some people drier, but if they tend to have a more dry skin, it's really important for them to use a moisturizer. And the ASEA moisturizer is specifically designed to also promote redox health in the skin. And the new skin products that ASEA is coming out with, I think you're going to be very happy with, and they are totally different than what we have now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you comment a little bit on people that are in a lot of pain from injuries?
Pain from injuries. I happen to have chronic back pain from some mountaineering injuries that I suffered when I was out there climbing mountains like Mount Everest and stuff. And the ASEA does help, because pain from injuries is a lot of times it's from unresolved injury. So there's still something going on there that the body hasn't been able to take care of. Sometimes it's scar tissue, sometimes it's mobility issues as a consequences of injury. But ASEA does seem to be able to help the body to over time repair things, even if the injury occurred sometime in the past. And so people with injuries, whether they're fresh injuries or old injuries, I really encourage them to really give Redox a good 4 to 6 month trial to see what it's going to do for that injury. And oftentimes they're going to be pretty surprised by what ASEA can do. What I shouldn't say that, by what ASEA can help their body to do to fix and repair those issues. And you saw that in your dog. Your dog had an accumulation of injuries and aging, and yet the redox molecules were still able to help that old man to get off the ground and walk around and start to think that he could at least play with the younger guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about with younger children? I'm thinking about little ones that maybe they have like red blotches that can come out on their legs or their torso, or even like diaper rash kind of stuff, but one that's more chronic. Are you familiar with the gel helping that, or what would you recommend?
I think the gel can help, but again, I think you get the best results with anything if you do both, the gel and the drink. Yeah.
How much would a young child take?
The same dose as we do for everything else, and if there's not a response, then apply more often and drink more. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And don't forget, you can spray the liquid on your skin as well. Before we had the Renew, we use ASEA in the spray bottle. In fact, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is to mist my face with ASEA, and then I put the Renew on after that. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
And I keep a spray bottle when I'm traveling anywhere in the car, when I'm driving, especially at night. I keep a spray bottle right there, and I mist it in my face every half an hour to an hour or so. It just gives you a little perk up, and it really helps any dry eyes, and it just feels good. It's kind of like that feeling you get when you're down by the ocean or a waterfall and you get that mist in your face. It just feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. Hopefully that's been some useful information for you.
It has been. It has. I wonder if you could speak to those that will be watching later. What are some of the options that people find themselves with after they've heard this information? Say
that again. Oh, where they can go from here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've got two basic choices. You can become a customer, certainly. And ASEA has a nice preferred customer program where you get loyalty rewards resorts, like so many companies have now, that they reward you for being loyal to the product. And you can accumulate points towards extra product, or what a lot of people do with those extra points is to try some of the other products. If you're a Redox user and you want to try some of the Via nutritional line, that's a great way to get that without any more money out of pocket. And same way with these new mind, mood, and energy products that are coming out. You could get those as with your loyalty reward points, or you can become an associate. That's a $40 one-time fee. The big advantage to becoming an associate, which is like becoming a member, is that you now control all of your own ordering. You have a website, and the big benefit, two big benefits. You have access to what we call an enrollment pack. So you can get more product for less money, and you can jump ahead of the line on the enrollment points and accumulate free product points more quickly. But the other benefit is, as you're talking to friends and family about this, or as they see your health improving, or they see your dog running around the yard where before that it couldn't do anything other than sit on the porch, and they say, "What's going on?" And you say, "Well, it's this Redox stuff," and they get interested in it. Now they can join your team, or they can become your preferred customer, and you can benefit financially from this. And that's how a lot of people start. A lot of people just start as product users. They then sort of dip their toe in the pond of product recommending, and the next thing you know, they've created a little group of a Redox group of people who are sharing this product. That's how I started, and within a couple of years, I was making more money doing this than I was going to the hospital every day and working in the emergency department. And so I gradually retired out of clinical medicine, and now what I do is teach people about ASEA. So it's a great, it can be a great business for you. It can be a little plan B. It can maybe be your vacation fund or your college fund for the kids or whatever, or it can be a replacement income, depending on what you want to make of it and how busy you get at it, how many people you talk to and share this with. And it really is just a matter of sharing it with a lot of people to build a business. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up the fact that some people hear about this and then they go to Amazon and think they can order it, and that's not a good idea. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, we used to have a big problem with that, not as much anymore, and especially on Amazon, because largely they're not going to get it much cheaper. And if you ask people, they're really not saving much. They just think it's more convenient to order it that way because that's how they get everything else. But you don't have the product warranty that you have if you get it directly from ASEA. You do not get any loyalty reward points, which I think is the biggest problem. I mean, if you're drinking a case or two of ASEA a month and you're not on the subscription plan where you get loyalty rewards points, you're crazy, because you're missing out on that free product that you can get with those points. That's probably the biggest downfall, and that's like getting a 5 to 20% discount on the product, and most people don't know that if they're buying it there. But on Amazon, the only way you can buy it on Amazon is retail now, because because the company is now the supplier of default on Amazon, and they only sell at retail, and they won't put anybody on a subscription plan that way. They'll refer them to one of us. But on eBay, you'll see some product, but you have no idea whether it's fresh product or old product, or whether it's been adulterated or messed with. So if you want, guaranteed pure product and you want to take advantage of the loyalty rewards plan, then you should buy it from an ASEA associate.
As well as customer support.
Absolutely.
Once they buy from us,
and things like this, they get to be in a group, they get to, and certainly you're not going to be able to build a business around it by ordering it on eBay. So we don't have as much a problem with that as we did a few years back. But that's always going to happen. That happens to every direct sales company. But that's why, dealing with people who are friends and family is really the best way to do this, because they're unlikely to stiff you and go buy it on eBay, especially if you can show them how they can get it cheaper through you. When you factor in the loyalty rewards points, why would they want to do it that way? Yeah. Sounds good. The other thing, if you have somebody that just seems to want to do that, and maybe they're doing it because they have an allergy to a subscription program. There are people out there like that. I'm not going to sign up for something I have to pay for once a month, even though they buy it once a month. Then just have a few extra cases at home and say, well, the next time you need some, just come get it from me. And I'll probably be able to match your price, but I won't be able to give you the loyalty rewards points. And just, have a customer base there. I think you'd rather do that than having them buy it somewhere else. And so that's another solution that we've sometimes dealt with, a few hard-headed people that just didn't want to do a once a month order. So
thank you.
You bet. Well, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. And Darleen, do you want to close us out?
Any other questions? Or okay,
well,
cool.
Thank you for your time and your expertise. I really learned new things from you today.
All right.
We're just kidding.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. And so, Darleen, do you want to share our closing?
Yeah, I'd love to, Gloria. So next Tuesday, which is April 12th, and that'll be a 7 p.m. Zoom meeting on Jerry White's Zoom. We're going to have Jerry White and Dr. Rodkey. And Gloria, do we have a bio on Dr. Rodkey that we want to talk about?
I don't have that available right now, but
okay.
It'll be a medical professional speaks out why redox and why now.
So yeah, we had a medical professional, and we're going to have that again on Tuesday. So that's a treat. We learn every single time we have these medical professionals on. So next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Thank you.